Hello, my dear friends. So basically, this is a continuation of a class that we could not complete in the previous time. This is time and work 2. Okay. So when we started time and work in the last video, which you will be able to see as time and work 1, we talked about of a couple of concepts and then we had to go forward, right? So very briefly, just go through what we had discussed so that we're able to continue from there on. Now, what we had talked about was the fact that when we talk of time and work, we are looking at man days work, concept of efficiency, etc. Now, there can be two types of questions. One pertaining to equal efficiency, the other pertaining to unequal efficiency. Equal efficiency was 5 men doing a work versus 10 men doing a work. So every person has the same efficiency, everyone does the same work every day. Unequal efficiency was A doing the work in 10 days, B doing the same work in 20 days. So that was a distinction. We also talked about the concept of variations, direct variation, inverse variation. Two quantities are directly varying. If one increases, the other also increases. Distance and speed will be those two kinds of quantities. Inverse variation was when one increases, the other decreases. For a given distance, speed and time. So for direct variation, the ratio of the two quantities is same. For inverse variation, the product of the two quantities is same. ये सब कुछ हमने पिछली वाली वीडियो में कर लिया है. Just go through the previous video and you will know everything. I'm just telling you what we did there. उसके बाद हमने कुछ questions करे थे and we tried to find out the relationship between the four major quantities. और जो final हमारे पास relationship आया था, that looked something like this. Yes. On the screen, if you can see, M1, D1, H1, number of men working for number of days, working for hours per day, MDH upon W, the total amount of work. So M1, D1, H1 upon W1 was equal to M2, D2, H2 upon W2. This is something that we had done in the previous class. Equal efficiency. People working with equal efficiency, something that we completed in time and work 1. So today we move forward from there and we go on to the concept of, just a second, there we are, unequal efficiency. So that this is the plan for today. Once we have established unequal efficiency, we look at a couple of specific cases in unequal efficiency where we look at negative work, alternate days work, and then finally we'll try to bring these two together. So we'll have groups of different people. The group will have equal efficiency among itself. The different groups will have unequal efficiency. So these are the four things that we are trying to do today. Starting with the basic concept of unequal efficiency. And the most basic of questions will read something like this. A can complete a job in 10 days. B can do the same job in 20. In how many days can they do the job working together? So clearly, A and B have different efficiencies. Now, if I ask you about work and efficiency, which variable or which quantity can be added or subtracted? For example, if I do a work in 10 days, you do the same work in 20 days, and both of us have to work together. In how many days will we be able to finish the work? If I am able to do the work in 10 days, you are able to do that in the same work in 20, and we are working together. In how many days will we finish the work? Less than 10, between 10 and 20, more than 20? Logically speaking, if I was doing the work alone, मुझे 10 दिन लगते. अगर कोई मेरी हेल्प करने आएगा तो काम जल्दी खत्म हो जाएगा ना यार. So I will take less than 10 days. Number of days of two people cannot be added or subtracted like that. But if I look at efficiency, if I say we are solving maths questions, I say I'm able to solve 10 questions a day. You are able to solve 12 questions a day. How many questions will be solved together? Now this is efficiency, work per day. This can be added. If you do 12, I do 10, together we'll do 22 questions per day. So efficiencies can be added. Efficiencies, if they are in different directions, can be subtracted. And that is what we'll work on eventually. But now, if I say A can complete a job in 10 days, B can do the same in 20. How many days will A and B do the work together? Again, we know that because A does the work in 10 days, in one day, A will do 1/10 of the work. B does the work in 20 days. So in one day, B will do 1/20th of the work. Because A and B are working together. Together they will do 1/20 plus 1/10, which is 3/20th of the work. So how many days will they require to do the work? If they work for n days, we can say they are doing 3/20th of the work, and they are doing the work in n days, the whole work. So n will come out to 20/3. This amount of work done for n days is the total work. Or I took the reciprocal of the number of days, added them and took the reciprocal of the answer, and that became my answer. 20/3 days. This will work for any number of people. If we have ABC doing the work individually in 10, 20 and 30 days, then together they will complete the job in how many days? Again the same logic. A does 1/10 of the work in one day, B does 1/20th, C does 1/30th, and together they will do the sum. Take the reciprocal of that, you will get the answer. Right? I am not saying this is a good way to write, but technically this is correct. And this is what we have done in mostly we've done in school as well. And therefore, if I am writing directly, suppose if I say A does the work in X days, B does the work in Y days alone. In how many days will A and B do the work together? What I can directly write is, if this was X and this was Y, my answer will be 1 upon 1 by X plus 1 by Y, which will be 1 upon X plus Y by XY, or XY upon X plus Y. So we can also write this answer directly without starting from here and reaching here. This can also be done. But again, all of this is until we are in school. Once we are in an examination where each question is being timed and we are short of time, this may not be the most efficient way to do the question. So what we'll do is, we will work on the concept that efficiencies can be added. So we'll try to find out the efficiency of each person, and from there we'll work. So if it says that he can do a piece of work in 20 days, we can do the same in 30. I will assume the amount of work that they are doing. Obviously, I'll take a number which is divisible by 20 and 30 both. So an LCM of 20, 30, or a multiple of the LCM of 20 and 30 will work. Suppose I assume the work to be 60 units, okay? LCM of 20 and 30. So A does 60 units in 20 days. What will be the efficiency of A? 60 units, 3 units per day. What about B? B does 60 units in 30 days. So 60 by 32 units per day. Now when A and B work together, they will combine both their work. So A and B working together will do 5 units per day. At this rate, they have to finish 60 units. How many days will be required? Divide the amount of work by the efficiency, and therefore number of days required will be 60 by 5, which is 12. Again, there is no exception to this method. We can use this method wherever we want. The basic method becomes assume work, find efficiencies. Efficiencies can be added, subtracted. We get the overall efficiency, and from there we find out the number of days required to do the work. For example, if we have to do this for 3 people, can you help me answer this question? So So this says 3 people ABC, they can complete their work in 10, 20 and 30 days respectively. So again, the question is, in how many days will they do the work together? If ABC are working simultaneously, because the number of days that they take is 10, 20 and 30, we will assume the work to be the LCM of 10, 20, 30, which happens to be 60 again. And therefore efficiencies of ABC can be calculated. A is doing 60 units in 10 days, therefore 6 units per day. B is doing 60 in 20 days, so 60 by 23 units per day. C is doing 60 in 30 days, therefore 2 units per day. Now if ABC work together, the work that they do will get combined, and therefore they will end up doing 6 plus 3 plus 2, 11 units per day. Now if at this rate they work for n number of days, they will be able to finish the work, and therefore the value of the days will be 11 units per day. Worked for n days is the total work, and therefore n is simply amount of work upon efficiency. With a little bit of practice, you realize you don't have to write all these numbers down. You will be able to solve it directly as well. Orally is what I want to say, but directly seems to be a better use of the word. Chaliye. Using this concept, if we try to solve some questions, look at this. Take a couple of minutes and attempt this question. The question reads, if A and B together can complete a work in 10 days, B and C can do it in 12, and C and A can do it in 15, in how many days A, B, C can do it together? So we are given the time for AB, BC and CA. We have to find the time of ABC together. You have, I think, 2 minutes to answer the question. For most of the time and work questions, the process remains the same. As long as you're able to identify which kind of a question it is, the process will not change, and therefore in the exam doability of these questions is very high. So if I'm able to spot what question it is, I don't have to think too much about what to do, and therefore repeatability, as they call it, for the exam of this topic would be high. And again, time and work is a topic from where you see questions in almost any exam, aptitude exam that you pick up. Any answers? So the process that we are talking about is assume work, find efficiencies, and work from there. Now the good thing about efficiencies is you can use them in any equation for that matter. For example, if I say there are 5 people, everyone having an efficiency of 3 units per day. What is the total efficiency? 5 into 3, 15. They can be worked upon almost for any equation in that sense. So what I'm saying here, 10, 12, 15. So let the work be the LCM of 10, 12, 15 or 60 units. Let the efficiencies of ABC individually be ABC respectively. Therefore, A plus B together are doing 60 units in 10 days. 60 by 10, 6 units per day. B and C together are doing 60 units in 12 days. Therefore, 60 by 12, 5 units per day. C and A together are doing 60 units in 15 days. 60 by 15, 4 units per day. Now, if we add these 3 equations, twice of A, twice of B, twice of C, will be equal to 6 plus 15 units per day, or A plus B plus C. The efficiency of A, B, C together will be 15 by 2 units per day. I have the efficiency that I require, and therefore we can solve further to get the answer. In how many days will A, B, C do the work together? Number of days will be the work that is to be done upon the efficiency of A, B, C. 15 4s are 60. 8 days becomes the answer. The process remains the same. Now suppose I change the question and I say, in how many days will A do it alone? In how many days will A do the work alone? Now what changes? Again, the first, actually most of the calculation till A plus B plus C remains the same. What I'm trying to do now is I'm trying to find out the value of A, so that I have the efficiency of A. When we write the initial equations, we have A, B, B, C, C. So we have three equations, three variables, so they can be solved. So if I have to find out how many days will A do the work alone, this part goes away. When I say, what will be the value of A? A plus B is 6. Sorry, A निकालना. B plus C is 5. And A plus B plus C is 15 by 2. So if we subtract or substitute B plus C, we will get A is equal to 15 by 2 minus 5, which will give A as 5 by 2. This becomes A's efficiency. So in how many days will A finish the work? 24. So 16 by 5 by 2. 24 days becomes the answer. Absolutely correct. Point being, the process will remain the same. If we look at another question, this is A alone can do it. Look at this question. There are three people, Ram, Rahim, Salim. They can complete the work in 10, 20 and 40 days respectively. Now, how they work is they don't work together, but Ram works for all the days, Rahim works for 3 days and then leaves. So basically all the three start working together. Ram continues working, Rahim works for the first 3 days and then leaves. Salim leaves the work 3 days before its completion. So once Rahim has left, Ram and Salim keep working. Before the work is to be finished, exactly 3 days before that, Salim also leaves. How many days are required to finish the work? Please understand, when I say Salim leaves 3 days before completion, that means if Samir leaves at 7.5 days, the work will get completed in 10.5 days. So it does not have to be that Salim leaves at the end of the day. He could leave at any part of the day. From there, if I add 3, I will get the final answer. So again, take a minute and a half and attempt this question. Any answers? Yeah. So again, if we look at how the work is done, for the first 3 days, Ram, Rahim, and Salim, everyone works. At this point, Rahim leaves. For the next some days, Ram and Salim work. At this point, Salim also leaves. For the last 3 days, Ram works alone. That is how the work is being done. Suppose if I say that the total number of days is X. Right? Now I go back to my process. I'm saying 10, 20, 40. Let the work be of 40 units, which means efficiency of RAM 40 units in 10 days, 4 units per day, 40 by 10. Efficiency of Rahim 40 units in 20 days, 40 by 20, 2 units per day. Efficiency of Salim 40 units in 40 days, so 1 unit per day, 40 by 40. We have their efficiencies. Now I want to form an equation for the total amount of work done. What will be the work done by Ram? Because Ram works for X number of days, the entire thing. The work that he will do is 4x efficiency into number of days. The work that Rahim will be 2 units per day for the 3 days that he works. So 3 into 2. What about Salim? Now if I look at the number of days Salim works, Salim does not complete the X days, he leaves 3 days before this. So Salim does 1 unit per day for X minus 3 days. This is the total work that they have done. And through this they have finished the entire work, which was 40 units. So this should be equal to 40. We solve the equation 4x plus 6 plus x minus 3, 5x, 37, 37 by 5, 7.4 days. So the work lasts for 7.4 days, out of which the first 3 days, Ram, Rahim and Salim, all of them work. For the last 3 days, only Ram is working. 7 minus 4, minus 3, minus 3, 1.4. In the middle, for 1.4 days, both Ram and Salim are working. Is this okay? So when people are working a staggered formation, I will form an equation for the amount of work that each one does, and that will add up to the total work that is to be completed, and that value will invariably be the value for work that I had assumed initially. Is this okay? Will we be able to repeat this in the exam? चलो ठीक है जी, मान लेते हैं हो जाएगा. So this is people working with unequal efficiency. अब इसमें कॉन्सेप्ट आता है alternate days का. Right, the second concept that we were supposed to do today. What does this question mean? It will read something like this. So I'm saying that A and B can complete a job in 10 and 20 days respectively. 10 and 12 days, sorry. In how many days will they complete the work? If they work on alternate days starting with A, what does this mean? On day 1, A comes to work. On day 2, only B comes to work. On day 3, again only A comes to work. Then again only B comes to work and so on. So alternate days they are working. एक दिन A काम कर रहा है, फिर B काम कर रहा है, फिर A, फिर B, फिर A, फिर B and so on. A alone can do the work in 10 days. B alone can do the work in 12 days. So in how many days will the work get finished is the question. Any answers for this? Any answer here? Or any approach for that matter? What we are expected to do is simply count, nothing else really. So again, uh, initiating our process, all the equations that we work upon are based on efficiency. So first, let me reach the efficiency of each. The days that I have are 10 and 12. So I'm saying let the work be of 60 units, which means A alone has an efficiency of 60 by 10, 6 units per day, whereas B has an efficiency of 60 by 12, 5 units per day. Right? Now A and B start to work. On day 1, A works and therefore will do 6 units. On day 2, B works and therefore will do 5 units. Please understand, here as you can see in 2 days, see 11 units of work will get done. This is not a uniform rate per day. What I cannot say is, I cannot say that in one day 5.5 units of work is being done. That is not happening. एक दिन 6 हुआ, एक दिन 5 हुआ, किसी भी दिन 5.5 नहीं हुआ, फिर ये 2 days वाला प्रोसेस बार बार रिपीट होगा. And therefore I can say every 2 days 11 units of work gets done. 6 plus 5. अभी कितनी बार रिपीट हो जाएगा? How many times can this repeat? I look for a multiple of 11 which is less than 60, because 60 total work है, उसको क्रॉस तो कर नहीं सकते. तो यार 60 का मल्टीपल 11 का 55. So if this process repeats 5 times, which means 5 to 10, in 10 days 55 units of work gets done. Right? Now on the next day, that is the 11th day, who is supposed to work? Because A started working. So on the 11th day, also A will come to work. A is working on odd days. So on the 11th day, A comes to work. यार अगर अब इसमें मैं देखूंगा तो वर्क जो रिमेनिंग है वो तो 5 यूनिट्स है, पर A तो 6 यूनिट्स करता है. तो obviously he will not require the entire day. What part of the day will he require? 5 units of work is to be done and he can do 6 units of day. 6 units in a day. So 5/6 of a day में काम हो जाएगा. So the number of days required will be 10 तो पूरे लग गए थे plus 5/6, or 10 5/6 becomes the answer. ठीक है? Alternate days A and B working. Now in this question, what is the role of starting with A? अगर ये starting with B होता तब क्या होता? A and B, I'll just write that here. A does the work in 10 days. B does the work in 12 days. They are working on alternate days. एक दिन एक. Starting with B. In how many days will the work get finished? Now tell me. Epic giver. Very nice, we have an answer. So here what changes is, if I follow the same steps, technically only the last step has to change. Because what happens is, again I'm saying, sorry, in the first 10 days 55 units of work will get done. जैसा पहले किया था exactly वैसा ही. Absolutely true. So on day 1 we will come to work. We will do 5 units of work. On day 2 A will work 6 units of work. 2 दिन में 11 यूनिट, 10 दिन में 55 यूनिट्स. यहाँ तक तो nothing changes. Till this point nothing changes. Sorry, till this point. But from here on in, because B started the work on the 11th day, B will come to work, and B does 5 units in a day. तो B को पूरा दिन काम करना पड़ेगा, and therefore the work will finish in 11 days. So depending on who starts the work in this question, the answer will be different. Now my question is, will this always be the case? Will this always be the case? Yes or no? Again, there is no negative marking for guessing or writing a yes or a no. Will this always be the case? Depending on who starts, का आंसर हर बार अलग ही आएगा. The answer will not always be different. It depends on the number. Suppose if I say A does the work in 20 days, B does the work in 30 days, and they are working on alternate days. इस केस में क्या होगा? If the work is 60 units, efficiency of A will be 3, B will be 2. So in 2 days, they will do 5 units of work. और ये पैटर्न पूरा रिपीट हो जाएगा 12 times. So in 24 days, they will finish 60 units of work irrespective of who starts. ठीक है? तो अगर ये वाला जो sum है, this divides this number. It will not matter who starts the work. The answer will be same in both cases. But अगर इसका जो sum है, this does not divide the total work, the answer will be different and depend on who is starting the work. Right? This is the concept of alternate days. So we touched upon unequal efficiency, उसमें alternate days add किया. अब concept of negative work. See, negative work will make a lot more sense, or will be practically visible if we talk of pipes and cisterns, for example. अब देखिए pipes and cisterns में भी जो हम अभी logic A और B के लिए use करें वो कर सकते हैं. For example, if I say pipe A can fill a tank in 20 hours, pipe B can fill the same tank in 30 hours alone. In how many hours will A and B fill the tank together? इसका आंसर कैसे निकालेंगे? This is the same as the questions that we have been doing so far, right? This is the same as what we have been doing so far. But instead of A, B, pipe A और B लिख दिया. Instead of A and B doing the work, pipe A and B filling the tank लिख दिया. मेरा process तो same ही रहेगा. Here, let the tank be of 60 liters. तो जो pipe A है, that fills 3 liters per hour. Pipe B will fill 2 liters per hour. दोनों मिलके 5 liters per hour. तो 60 में 12 घंटे भर देंगे. Like we did in the men वाला question. तो इसमें नेगेटिव वर्क का कॉन्सेप्ट कहां से आएगा? अगर मैं बोलूं कि यार पाइप ए पाइप बी तो फिल कर रहे हैं, but there is a tap in the tank. The tap can empty the entire tank in say 40 hours. So the tap is doing negative work. है ना? उस केस में what will we do? हम टैप की जो एफिशिएंसी है पाइप में से माइनस कर देंगे. अगर एक पाइप 3 लीटर्स भरता है और एक टैप है जो 1 लीटर खाली करता है, तो नेट नेट कितना टैंक भरेगा? पाइप पुट्स इन 3 liters, tank takes out 1 liter, sorry, tap takes out 1 liter, 3 minus 1, 2 liters will be left. So in case of negative work, we simply subtract the efficiencies. For example, ये देखिए बेसिक सा क्वेश्चन, A can build a wall in 10 days. अगर वॉल का कुछ भी काम नहीं हुआ है, A starts from scratch, so zero से पूरी की पूरी वॉल A can build in 10 days. B can destroy it in 12 days. मतलब पूरी वॉल बन चुकी है, B goes and starts breaking the wall. 12 दिन में सब कुछ खत्म कर देगा, पूरा साफ. In how many days will they finish the work working together? Meaning A and B go to a ground, scratch से वॉल बनना चालू करनी है. A bricks रख रहा है, B bricks हटा रहा है. Because A is faster, eventually एक point पे wall बन जाएगी. In how many days will the wall get finished? So again, same logic. Let the work be of 60 units. 10 और 12 का LCM. A जो है 60 units in 10 days. 6 units per day करेगा. B destroys 6 तो minus 5 units per day करेगा. So if A and B work together, they will do 6 minus 5. That is 1 unit per day net. At this rate, 60 units will get finished in 60 days. अब देखिए, मुझे ये तो यकीन था that you will be able to answer the question which you have. Sure, very good. Right? But ये वाला question was not the question that I wanted to answer. इसको एक step और ऊपर ले जाते हैं और alternate days और negative वर्ग को combine कर देते हैं. Hopefully. A can build a wall in 10 days. B can destroy it in 12. वही A शुरू से 0 से शुरू करके 10 दिन में वॉल बनाता है. B पूरी वॉल जो बन गई है उसको 12 दिन में खत्म कर देता है. In how many days the wall will be built? For the first time. एक बार वॉल बन गई ना, उसके आगे काम नहीं करेंगे. ठीक? If they work on alternate days, starting with this, A पहले दिन आएगा, कुछ वॉल बनाएगा. B दूसरे दिन आएगा, कुछ वॉल तोड़ के चला जाएगा. फिर A आएगा, थोड़ा और वॉल बनाएगा, B आएगा, तोड़ के चला जाएगा. This will keep going on till the wall gets finished. In how many days will this happen for the first time? Again, 2 minutes, try this question. $120 is the wrong answer. $120, $60 are all wrong answers. $120, $60 are all wrong answers. Very good. 60 to 120 were wrong answers, but kill switch has come up with 108. And I don't know why these names are like this, but yeah. And then I think another user has come up with 109, which actually seems to be the right answer. Good. So here what happens is, please understand, when you're trying to build a wall and there is someone who's breaking the wall, the most important question to understand is, who will work on the last day? आखिरी दिन A काम करेगा कि B काम करेगा? यार मुझे वॉल कंप्लीट करनी है, राइट? तो आखिरी दिन अगर B काम करेगा, B will be breaking some part of it. और अगर B के काम करने में वॉल कंप्लीट होती, इसका मतलब ज्यादा बन गई थी, तब B ने कुछ तोड़ा और वॉल कंप्लीट हुई. So here the process will not be completed. मतलब जो 2-day cycle है, that will not complete. On the last day only A will come, do his part of the work, finish the wall, and that will be the end of it. B will not get a chance to come back. So if I look at the process, AB will keep on working till a point where only one last day is left and A comes to work. Now, if I assume the work to be of 60 units, with A doing 6 units per day and B doing -5 like in the previous question. On the last day, because A comes to work, what is the amount of work that A will do? यार आखिरी दिन A will do 6 units of work. इसका मतलब इससे पहले कितना काम हो चुका है? टोटल 60 करना था, उसमें से 6 लास्ट डे होगा, तो यहाँ पे 54 यूनिट्स होगा. Now if A and B work on alternate days, on day 1 6 units gets done, on day 2 -5 units gets done. Therefore in 2 days 1 unit gets done. इस प्रोसेस से I have to complete 54 units. कितने दिन लगेंगे? Multiply by 54. So in 108 days 54 units will get done. And on the 109th day, A will come, do 6 units of work, finish the wall and go home. So the number of days required to finish the work here will be 109 days, 109. Alright? Again, basic concepts are used. Just the idea of thinking a little bit more as to what the question wants you to answer. Chale, good question, I think this one. So unequal work, applying the same in pipes and cisterns as well. Alternate work, alternate days, negative work. Now what we do is we combine unequal and equal work. So how will we do that? We will look at different groups of people working. 5 men, 4 women. Now the men among themselves will have the same efficiency. Men and women amongst themselves will have different efficiency. So groups are working. When groups are working, again there can be 2 cases. Either there is a comparison or the groups are working together, right? So today we talked about unequal efficiency, where we similarly did pipes and cisterns, alternate work, negative work. Now combining the groups with unequal efficiency, 2 types of questions: comparison and working together. This is a comparison question. The question reads, 5 men or 10 women can do a job in 25 days. In how many days will 1 man and 1 woman do the same job? So there is a comparison between men or women initially, and then based on that you have to find the amount of time needed to do a work by a group of men and women. And so here what we can do is, it says that 5 men, for the sake of this question, are equal to 10 women. Therefore 1 man is equal to 2 women. Right? Now in the question it says 10 women can do a work in 25 days. 10 women can do a work in 25 days. we have to find out in how many days will one man and one woman. One man is equal to two women. So in the question, we have to find out in how many days will three women do the same work. So if 10 men can do a work in 25 days, three women will do the same work in 250 by 3 days. Number of women into days is equal to number of women into days. So for this group for which the work is to be found out, you substitute man with woman and then see how many days are required. Right? इसका एक क्वेश्चन और देख लेते हैं. 5 men or 10 women or 20 boys do work in 25 days. In how many days will one man, one woman and 4 boys do the same work? You have 1.5 minutes for it. Okay, so we have one answer which says 500 by 7. Okay. 500 तो समझ आ गया मेरे को. 7 समझ नहीं आया. Should it be 500 by 10? Yes, 50 days, absolutely. So, again, यहाँ पे 5 men is equal to 20 boys. मतलब 1 man is equal to 4 boys. एक तो ये आ गया. Also 10 women is equal to 20 boys. तो 1 woman is equal to 2 boys. एक ये आ गया. अब हमें बोला है 20 boys do the work in 25 days. क्वेश्चन में पूछा 1 man plus 1 woman plus 4 boys. 1 man is equal to 4 boys निकालना है मैंने. 1 woman is equal to 2 boys. और देखो 4 boys तो 4 boys ही रहेगा. तो 4 4 8 और 10. आई थिंक आपने इस वैल्यू को 1 ले लिया. तो ये हो गया 10 boys. 20 boys can do work in 25 days. In how many days will 10 boys do the same work? Because number of boys half हो गए, number of days double हो जाएगा. हाँ. I think number of boys you would have taken as 1. तभी आंसर चल रहा था, पर ठीक है. So this is unequal groups being compared. One last question for today. Unequal groups working together. For example, look at this question. इससे मैंने कहा था 5 men और 10 women. अब बोल रहा है 5 men and. So these two groups are working together. 5 men and 3 women can do a job in 25 days. 1 man and 2 women can do the same job in 55 days. In how many days can 7 men and 9 women do the same job? Now, depending on the numbers that are given for the groups, there can be faster ways to solve. But again, that is not a discussion I would want to have in the first class per se. जब हम क्वेश्चंस करेंगे तब शायद वो डिस्कशन किया जा सकता है when you also practice a little bit. For today, I am telling you one method which will be used without any exception. Might seem a little lengthy, but answer हर बार आएगा no matter what the values are, right? And this method is the process that we have been following so far. So इस क्वेश्चन में मैंने क्या बोला? मैंने बोला let the efficiency of a man be m units per day. That of a woman be w units per day. And let the total work be LCM of 25 and 55. 25 मतलब 5 into 5. 55 मतलब 5 into 11. तो LCM जो है वो हो गया 275 units. And therefore 5 men plus 3 women will do 275 units in 25 days, which means 11 units per day. एक इक्वेशन ये आ गया 5m plus 3w is equal to 11. Second, 1 man plus 2 women will do 275 units in 55 days. So 1 man plus 2 women आ गया 5 units per day. तो ये हो गया दूसरा इक्वेशन. यहां से सॉल्व फॉर m and w. तो what can we do? Suppose this is equation 1, this is equation 2. तो हमने equation 2 को 5 से मल्टीप्लाई किया, उसमें से 1 माइनस कर दिया. 5m minus 5m gone. 10w minus 3w. 7w. 25 minus 11, 14. So w comes out to 2 units per day. Substituting that value here, 2 2s are 4. M comes out to 1 unit per day. So a man does 1 unit per day. A woman does 2 units per day. हमें पूछे how many days is 7 men and 9 women. 7 men हो गया 7 into 1. 9 women हो गया 9 into 2. 18 से 25 units per day. So this is the efficiency. They have to do 275 units. So number of days will be 275 by 25, which will be 11 days. So जैसे A और B के लिए किया था वही कर रहे हैं, but we are getting an equation, 2 equations for us, from where we will calculate m and w. Right? So this is 2 groups working together, unequal efficiencies coming together. अब हमने बार-बार efficiency की बात करी, तो एक चीज और आप ध्यान रखिएगा. Efficiency is proportional to time taken to do the work, and therefore if A is twice as efficient as B and B takes 10 days, A will take half the time, 5 days to do the work. If the ratio of efficiency of A and B is 5:4, the ratio of time taken will be 4:5. And when A and B work and they are paid wages, wages are divided according to the work that they do, right? तो अगर A 10 यूनिट करेगा, B say 4 units करेगा, so wages will be in the ratio 10:4. If A and B work for the same duration of time, A ने भी 5 दिन काम किया, B ने भी 5 दिन काम किया, so the work that they do will be in the ratio of their efficiencies, right? Because they work for the same number of days. In that case, the wages will also be distributed amongst A and B in proportion to their efficiency. So efficiency is inversely proportional to time. Wages are directly proportional to efficiency, provided number of days of work is the same for both. Otherwise, wages are distributed in terms of the work that they do. Okay, जी? So in terms of theory, this is what you have to do in time and work. A very important chapter because इससे question आएगा ही आएगा और उसकी repeatability भी बहुत high होती है. ठीक है? So make sure you've practiced questions from the book, and probably later in the later half we can look at a workshop where we do some common questions or the exam questions from time and work, so that this is completely wrapped up. But before that, I wanted to practice the questions and come back, right? So I think that is all for this video. If there are any questions, please get in touch. And until then, take care, especially now that your exams are approaching, becomes important. And yeah, if there's any issue, just let us know. Bye-bye.